worldwide?
Well, first, we would present the concept of the Venus Project to different nations, and then ask them to join with us, remove the artificial boundaries. The more nations that join, the higher the production for people. The more better educated people are, the richer the world. If you agree with those concepts, if we depend on money to go to a university, this is not the answer. We have to open universities to everyone. Increase the amount of engineering and science students. When I say science students, I mean people who understand the world and its physical equipment. In other words, without science and technology, we have no methods of evaluation. In other words, let me put it your way. First, you have to do a survey of the earth to see what kind of resources we have, transportation, arable land, water, and after your survey, you base your social design on the carrying capacity of the earth and the environment. You understand that? Not the opinions of politicians. All decisions are made on the basis of physical relationships, not some arbitrary opinions. I want to say this carefully. All politicians are totally incapable of designing or advocating a better system. But I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to go to a political meeting and ask politicians, how will you prevent automobile accidents? I don't know. How will you improve rockets so that they work more efficiently? They don't know. How can you grow more food for people? They don't know. They don't know anything related to better living. They know nothing, is what I'm trying to tell you. They don't even know how to improve the electrical grid lines. These are all technical problems. 100 years ago, politics was great. There was no other system. But today, everything that you have, the electric light, the automobile, the airplane, everything is technical. So what we need is technical advisors, not dictators. In other words, it's not a nation or national system with technical elites in charge. This is not so. All that the technical people do is tell us how to make automobiles, how to make transportation systems, how to figure out transmission lines. In other words, all they do is a technical job. Today, when you want a bridge built, you bring in engineering, bridge engineers. You don't ask the butcher, the baker. So it is not a participatory democracy. You've never had that. You always have specialists. When you want to put a man on the moon, you get rocket experts together, people that study space science, but they don't dictate policy at all. They just work on rockets. When you want to build a bridge, you pull in engineers. They don't dictate national policy. They just build a bridge. So the technicians do not control society.
What this is using science, not scientists, but the methods of science, because scientists are just as indoctrinated as anybody else in this system.
Yes.
They have patriotism, they have allegiance to countries, they have vested interests, and they're just specialists within certain areas, maybe lighting or agriculture, but they're not multidisciplinarian, so they can be used by government today to make bombs and weapons and make things that wear out and break down. They wouldn't do that in the future, in the sane future. So we use the methods of science applied to the social system for the betterment of everyone. This means using what works. There's no vested interest within the monetary system, so there's no need to do any type to hold things back. We would want the very best types of transportation. We wouldn't want things to wear out and break down, because then society has to maintain it. So it's really a burden on society when there's no money involved. So you get rid of the conditions that cause the problems, and they don't pinpoint that today. They blame people. People are good or bad, or they didn't make the right decisions. But they don't blame the monetary system that enables corporations to pollute, like Monsanto. They say, why don't you go after corporations like Monsanto? But instead of just going after these corporations, we go after the entire social design that enables Monsanto's to exist. They wouldn't within a resource-based economy when money is out of the picture.
They're just a symptom of the problem. But also, I think stupidity and repetition are the two words being used all the time to stifle innovation. That's why we seem to be in a world of planned obsolescence. And when I say this, I mean your cars can last 5, 7, 8 years. People, they have to be sick in order for the system to operate. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I think that the system is obsolete. It was obsolete years ago. We could have built a fine world in 1927 with what we knew then. The whole system is basically corrupt. As long as people work for money, they're bound to be materialistic and inhumane to one another. They don't concern themselves with people. I can prove that to you. We would not outsource jobs if we cared about Americans. Industry doesn't care about anything except the bottom line called profit. When new machines come in, they don't shorten the workday and pay people twice as much. They downsize. They get rid of people. That means they don't care. That's what I mean. And when you put a man in the army who puts his life up for the country, that's a supreme sacrifice. You should conscript all the war industries as well as people so that no one makes a buck out of war. If you did that, you wouldn't have war. War is big business. It always has been big business, and they don't give a damn about people because they make killing machines out of these young kids. What we would do is send the kids back to school to study how to bridge the difference between nations, not to kill one another. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I certainly do, and you just reminded me when I was in college many years ago, Jacque, that I told one of my accounting professors that I could not understand how the most valuable asset a company has is not registered in a financial statement. And I mean people. People are the most valuable aspect of any company, and yet they seem to be a disposable item. What's your take on that?
Yes, they're replaceable today.
Yes.
They give their machines the best oil, no dust. They replace parts before they break down, but they let people eat hamburgers and frankfurters and don't give them medical care. They're just disposable. They don't care about that. When the bottom line is profit, you can't afford to care.
Absolutely. And I know you have a database of designers who are ready to help you start, quote-unquote, building a city. Has that, quote-unquote, city been identified, and how are governments reacting to your proposed vision?
Government is really comprised of uneducated people. Yes. Remember that government don't know anything technical. They're merely elected on the basis of their appearance and their jargon, the verbal behavior. But they don't know anything, so they can't make any appropriate decisions. Government that knows nothing about efficiency and the management of production cannot make social decisions. They believe people, some are lazy, some are hardworking, some are creative, some are not. All that's bullshit. But it depends on the environment you're raised in. If you were raised in Australia, you'd say, "How are you, mate?" And if you're raised in Germany, you'd speak with a German accent when you came to this country. So we reflect our culture. If you're brought up in the Deep South, you might become a member of the Ku Klux Klan because the value system is restricted in that area. And the people with a low self-sufficiency tend to join racist organizations because it gives them one-upmanship. They are not educated people. Believe me, the people of the world today are not educated. They're trained to be cogs in the social wheel. They tell people that they're great inventors. There are people that are great thinkers. All that's artificial. They even tell people that the invention of the wheel was the beginning of the technical age. Nobody ever invented the wheel. One log fell over another. And when you pull the upper log, the bottom one rolled. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of course I do. And you mentioned the Ku Klux Klan, for example. A member of the audience asked that he heard you in a past interview stating that you joined and successfully dissolved the Ku Klux Klan in Miami. Can you please explain with specific details on how you did this?
Well, first of all, I used to buy surplus lenses and optical devices from a guy that owned a surplus store. He was head of the Klan. So you always work on that guy. He said to me, Jaque, what do you do with all the lenses you buy? I said, well, I make optical devices. He said, can I see them? And I invited him to my lab. When I invited him to my lab, he was so impressed. He says, will you come on down to the Klan and talk to our boys about what you're thinking about? I said, Lou, they wouldn't listen to me. He says, I'll get them to listen to you. I'm head of the Klan movement there. So that's what you have to do first. When he said to me, Jaque, what do you think of the Ku Klux Klan? I said, it's a great idea, but it doesn't go far enough. That gets his ear. If you attack, you lose him. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
So we have to learn procedural systems for changing people. You always work with a leader, never the group. And if you work with a leader and get them interested, then the leader will tell you things like, well, I can't do nothing with my kids. They never listen to me. You show them how you get kids to listen to you. In other words, I give them lessons in behavioral sciences, how reinforcing certain types of behavior strengthens things in kids. If you ball them out and call them dummies, the trouble with you is you can't think, you don't understand. That does nothing for kids. When a teacher in school says, that's wrong, those words don't tell you anything. Think about it. That's wrong. Doesn't tell you a damn thing. When the teacher says, that's not what I told you, that doesn't tell you anything. So you have to inform people into the methodology for solving problems. So they don't need psychiatrists and they don't need psychologists. A psychologist that would adjust you to this system has to be a pinhead. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. And how did you successfully dissolve it?
Well, what I did, I asked Lou, how do you know so much about people? He said, well, that comes naturally to me. I can look at a person and tell you a lot about them. I said, would you mind if I check that out? He said, no. So I brought a machine down to one of the meetings of the Klan, and I projected a character up on the film, on the wall, on the screen. And he's telling me all about the guy. He says, it looks like a war veteran, a good American, a Christian. He's projecting his own values at the image. And after the image is run for a little while,